How many of you watch the news? Raise your hands. It's mostly the older people. Okay. Excuse that, I'm sorry. What I started to notice was that there's nothing good on the news anymore. Yeah, there might be a kid that's got accepted in 5 Ivy League colleges, but that he gets 5 seconds of fame, and then, all you hear about is murders, rapists, child molesters, killers, and stuff. And honestly, I may be just 15, but that still scares me a little bit. And I don't know, it feels like the world's just turning towards darkness, and all we have now is God. There's no other solution.
That's right.
And so I studied that, and I was like, well, this is kind of predicted, he said this was going to happen. So I went online and I found this speech, and don't let this scare you or anything, because I have a really good ending. So, but I found this speech, and it's by an old radio host. He was a pastor. Any of you might know him. Anyone older in here? Paul Harvey. Y'all heard of him? Okay. It's 1965. I see all young people in here, so I don't think anyone was born back then. But it's called If I Were the Devil. Now, don't let that title scare you. Okay, it's a really good speech, and it really interests me. And it goes, if I were the devil, I wouldn't be happy until I have seized the ripest apple on the tree. Some of you might have heard this. It says, so I thought about how necessary it would be to take over the United States. I'd subvert the churches first. I'd begin with a campaign of whispers. With the wisdom of a serpent, I would whisper to you as I whispered to Eve. Do as you please. To the young, I would whisper the Bible is a myth. I would convince them that man created God instead of the other way around. I would confide that what's bad is good and what's good is square. And the old, I would teach to pray after me, Our Father which art in the White House. And then I'd get organized. I'd educate authors in how to make world literature exciting so that anything else would appear dull and unnecessary. I'd threaten TV with dirtier movies and vice versa. I'd peddle narcotics to whom I could. I'd sell alcohol to ladies and gentlemen to the distinction. I'd tranquilize the rest with pills. If I were the devil, I'd soon have families that were at war with themselves and nations at war with themselves until each in their turn was consumed. And the promises of higher ratings, I'd have mesmerizing media fanning the flames. If I were the devil, I would encourage schools to refine young intellects, but neglect the disciplined emotions just to let them run wild. Until before you knew it, you'd have drug-sniffing dogs and metal detectors in every schoolhouse door. Okay, just so you know, I have this in my school already. And to me, that's very unnecessary. And I go to one of the top 10 schools in North Carolina, by the way. Within a decade, I'd have prisons overflowing. I'd have judges promoting pornography. Soon I could evict God from the House of Congress. And in his own churches, I would substitute psychology for religion and defy science into and I would defy science. I would lure priests and pastors into misusing girls and boys in church money. If I were the devil, I'd make the symbol of Easter an egg and the symbol of Christmas a bottle. If I were the devil, I'd take from those who have and give to those who wanted until I had killed the incentive of the ambitious. And what do you bet? I could get the whole state to promote gambling as a way of getting rich. I would cautious against extremes and had hard work and patriotism and moral conduct. I would convince the young that marriage is old-fashioned, that swinging is fun, that what you see on TV is the way to be. And thus I could undress you in public and I could lure you into bed with diseases for which there is no cure. In other words, if I were the devil, I continue what I was doing. And I was watching the news, and I realized not only had this came true, it was progressing. And as a family, as a church, I don't want us to get that far. I don't want anyone to get that far. And I think the only way that any of us can stay sane and stay safe and stay pure is to keep going with Jesus, and if you haven't been with him, find him, and find him soon. because this is a very scary time. There's war, there are diseases with no cures, and there are very troubled people. And I would hate to see any of you fall off that or go back to it. So I don't know if this is a talent of what I have of speaking. I don't know what it is, but it's a statement. And I don't exactly know if this will make any sense to you, if you understand what I'm saying. But I just want you all to know that this means nothing. This is little compared to what God can do. You know? So if you know him, you'll know that you have nothing to worry about. If you don't, then I feel really bad for you. But basically Jesus is the way, he's the only way.
Yeah.